Welcome to the Up and Down show with Daniel
and Upendo.
We are back for another episode. I can't get enough of that. I love saying welcome to the Up and Down show.
Welcome. It's like coming into our living room. We are so grateful that you decided to take your time out to come and listen to whatever we have to talk about. So welcome.
Absolutely. And today we are feeling the blue the blue vibe of Look, I have to say that dress that you are wearing is everything. It is hugging every curve of your body.
Because it's a size too small. That's why it's hugging me.
Not because you've been doing those Serena Williams lunges. You got those curves.
They can't see these curves. You know, they can't see these curves in my chair. But thank you, Daniel.
Absolutely, you look beautiful.
And the check shirt looks good on you too.
Yeah. For those listening to the podcast and not watching the show on YouTube, I am wearing a polo. Sorry that we have no sponsors, so these are no plugs. But I'm wearing my polo checkered.
And it's a red polo on his checkered blue and white shirt. He looks okay. So if you have never seen our actual show, but have only been listening on podcasts, for those podcast only listeners, okay, I'm hot, but Daniel's way hotter than me.
Oh, she's just saying that because she wants me to tell her how beautiful she is. And it ain't gonna work. She's right. I'm hotter.
No, he's hot. In fact, people all the time, prior to us, releasing this show, I would actually have pictures and song videos on my Instagram of me and you, Okay. You know that. Like we would do songs and mimic the songs.
Oh, right. Absolutely.
And I would post them to my Instagram, or I do pictures of me and you. And anybody who doesn't know you, but they know me, is like, oh my God, Daniel's so hot. Why aren't you dating him? And I would look at him.
There's one good reason.
And I would always say, even if he wasn't gay, Daniel and I probably would kill each other.
I'm gay?
But yeah, people always like, oh my God, Daniel's so handsome. He's so gorgeous. He's so perfect for you. He is. He's my perfect friend.
That's very, very sweet. It's interesting. And I realize I say that a lot. It's interesting, but I don't feel that way. And I appreciate that. I received the love from you for sure. But insecurity is a son of a bitch, ain't it?
It is. It definitely is. But even further, I was sharing this story. See, I just could continue. I did a right turn, but it will come back to your insecurity. Okay. So actually, it's perfect for your insecurity.
Go for it.
So whenever Daniel and I go out together and guys hit on me, he gets really pissed.
Not like plain pissed. I actually get upset.
He gets upset.
I get really, really upset. I do.
And I'm like, but you're gay. He's like, I don't care. They don't know that.
Absolutely. I'm sitting in a restaurant and the waiter comes over and he's like, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm like, wait a minute. Yes. I'm like, hello. How does they know I'm not your man? Or worse, okay, maybe in a restaurant they can hear us, they can see us joking, but walking, because we travel a lot for work, right?
Yes, we
do.
So
we're walking through an airport and there's a brother coming down the stairs and like checking her out. And I'm like, hello? Like, what? And I get
here's my number.
I promise you, I do. I get upset.
He gets mad. And I'm like, why? He's like, because they don't know that I'm not with you and it's disrespect.
It's disrespectful. So, and it's not that, I think we need to be open with our relationships and have pride that people find our partners attractive. But damn it, men look at this woman like a piece of meat sometimes. And you are not a piece of meat, Upendo.
Thank you.
You are a lovely, intelligent, bright, special, creative woman.
Thank you.
Damn it, men should not be looking at you like that. They should be looking at me like that.
I think so too. So going to your insecurities, but Daniel, you're a very handsome man.
I do appreciate that. And I've learned my Grandma, I talk about you a lot on the show, but that's because I love you.
And she watches.
And you watch. Boy, do you watch with a critical eye.
Oh, no. You give positive feed forward.
But my grandmother taught me to always accept the gift when it's given to you. Never turn a gift away. So I'm learning now when people say that, even if I don't feel beautiful, learning to to say thank you. So thank you very much for that. I do appreciate that. And yeah, that's enough of that.
Okay, so let's change the subject. So let's talk about last couple of weeks. Daniel has kind of talked very minimal about his new plant-based diet.
Right.
He started this probably 4 or 5 episodes ago about he's changing his eating because he got some feedback from his most recent
wow,
physical.
She's just giving all. I wasn't going to say any of this, and she's just putting my stuff out there.
Well, that's what friends do. They put their stuff out there.
All right,
but it's just leading up. It's like the buildup of your. It's the buildup of your plant-based diet. So he's like, okay, so I'm going to do this plant-based diet. So I'm going to let you take it from here.
Okay, thank you very much for letting the world know that I'm dying. I'm dying, and the last bite I'll have is an asparagus.
Ew.
No, I went to go see my doctor, and everything's great. I had a clean bill of health, but my cholesterol has been going up, and I honestly am someone who thinks that I eat healthfully. And I was telling my doctor, I said, I don't understand. I've reduced my red meat. I eat a lot of chicken and pork. And he's like, well, pork has a lot of cholesterol in it.
Yes.
And I was like, oh no, but I also do ground turkey. He goes, cholesterol has a lot of high cholesterol in it. And then I was like, no, you don't understand. Like I wake up and I have breakfast and I make like fresh. I don't put a lot of cheese in my stuff anymore. I have eggs. He said, how often do you have eggs? I say, every day I have eggs. I have 2 eggs. He goes, you can't eat 2 eggs. That's full of cholesterol.
Yes.
And I realized I had no idea what cholesterol was. And he said to me, and then I also was talking to him about my weight because I had put on weight.
It's the COVID-19
Oh,
20.
yes. That's what I'm telling people. But that COVID-20 was there before COVID.
You're just use COVID.
I'm just using COVID. But he was telling me, he says, if you ate a plant-based diet, you would slim down, you would be healthier, and your cholesterol would be better. And so I was like, what is that? And so I went home and I started to research plant-based diets. And I've made a commitment now to eat 4 days a week, no meat, no dairy, no eggs. Can I tell you, when I went to my refrigerator, everything inside the refrigerator was either meat or dairy or eggs. Like I had no idea that is all full of animal byproducts. It's all full of cholesterol and fat and other things. And so I went on a shopping spree and I spent about $200
eating plant-based.
All plant-based, nothing that came from an animal. And I've been experimenting with it, and it's been really fun. Upendo, you know how I love to cook.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you love to cook because I benefit from him cooking. And so with this plant-based, I'm like, okay, as long as you're cooking it, I'll eat it.
Yeah, and I will say the first week I was not lazy, but just inexperienced. And so I ate lots of salads. I was doing salads, and then
I remember you was like, oh my God, I just made this big old salad and I'm full. I'm like,
yeah, it was huge. I mean, when I talk about this silver bowl, one of our good friends, Corinne, says, you can eat the salad. You can eat as much salad as you want until it makes you full, and it's not going to be. Well, I actually logged all that in, and it was that entire big bowl of salad was 200, and then just with a very light dressing of just a little bit of olive. I was over olive oiling everything. So just a little bit of olive oil, some lemon and vinegar. It was 267 calories for a huge bowl of salad that filled me up for lunch. And I thought, wait a minute, I'm on to something. And then I happen to love spaghetti squash.
Yes.
And so I made some spaghetti squash, and I put some marinara sauce on that, and that was good. So that was my first week. It wasn't really adventurous, but this past week I really got creative, and I've been making things like dumplings. I've been making vegan dumplings with this soy meat. And first of all, I've never made a dumpling in my life, but now I'm steaming and frying, and I'm having so much fun with this whole plant-based living.
Yeah, and when I saw you with those dumplings, I'm like, oh my God, that they look so good. I'm like, you need to make those for me.
You would love them. You would love them.
I think I would, based on what they look like. And I'm happy that you are moving through this whole plant-based. And it's interesting because my neighbor, I'm calling you out, Paul.
Oh, my new Facebook friend, Paul.
Yeah, Paul actually has been plant-based for a year. Paul is like a fine wine odor. And he went to plant-based a year ago. And of course, he's watching your journey, and he became your friend on Facebook. And Paul and I work out together. And he says, "Oh my God, just I see Daniel. He's plant-based, and he's like, just let him know it works. It works. It works." He's like, "I just had my blood work done. I have the blood of a 30-year-old." I'm like,
really? Wow,
yes. He said,
awesome.
like a 30-year-old. I'm like, good. I'm thinking to myself, but you don't look 30 years old, Paul. You look good, but you don't look 30 years
Paul,
old.
I think you're handsome.
And he doesn't remember what you look like.
I do.
But seriously, Paul was clear.
Wow.
Paul was clear that as a result of him going plant-based, his blood work, and he stopped smoking cigarettes as well. And so his blood
We
work.
don't do cigarette smoking.
Yeah, but he stopped well over a year ago. Everything, all his blood work looks great. His cholesterol is under attack.
Wonderful.
And the one thing he did say, please let Daniel know that when you go plant-based, a lot of people tend to eat more carbs. And he says that could trigger any diabetes. He says, so tell him to watch out. I told him that, and he's going to watch out for that.
Yeah.
But
actually,
Paul
she never told me that until just now. I learned that with you all. But the truth of the matter is, I've been doing my research, and my carb intake is on point, and I am doing healthy fats and healthy carbs. And so I'm feeling really excited about this. It's interesting, though, that you talk about, Paul, when you start to go to this plant-based thing, it is like, I always make the analogy to the Wizard of Oz, when I find new things, and when Dorothy opens that door and it's goes from black and white to color. When you go to this plant-based living, especially for me, where it was just an idea, it wasn't like someone told me to do it. It wasn't some moral sort of crusade that I was doing. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it's like, it's a craze. I had no idea. I'm not doing it because I'm trying to be trendy and I'm going on what everybody's doing plant-based.
I'm not doing it. So everybody is not doing it. In fact, I know my blood type. I am a carnivore. Like, literally, if we're on a plane together, we go down in the mountains and we survive the mountains, I will be eating your ass because I'm going to need some protein. I am not eating nothing that come out of the ground. I will be eating your ass. So just be clear, I'm a carnivore. But I respect those individuals who are going through this process, because your body knows what it needs. Right now, my body loves some meat, some protein. I do not overindulge. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of moderation as well.
And I promise not to become one of those preachy people that will, because first of all, I'm not going vegan. Hello, have you seen me? This is not the body of a vegan, nor would it ever be.
It may be a body of a vegan.
But I'm not going vegan. I don't want to go vegan. I love a steak. And I will always have meat, but I'm going to do it in moderation now. And the thing is, I've learned so much about food, nutritional things associated with food, like calories, like saturated fats. Mm-hmm. These are things that I honestly have always heard by name, but I've never really paid attention to. And even though I do eat lots of fruits and vegetables, I wasn't healthy because I was having meat with every single meal. Like, literally, I can't imagine breakfast without meat. And now I do, and I love it. And I'm not just... I felt healthy. Like, the first week I did it, I didn't feel bloated anymore. I didn't have any sort of issues going on with sort of heartburn. And I do have high blood pressure that runs in my family. And I'm hopeful that it's going to have a long-lasting impact on my life. And I'm going to learn new recipes as well.
Well, I am all for you living longer, and I'm all for you learning new recipes, because when you learn new recipes, I benefit from it. And I was committed, meaning in the spirit of supporting my friend, that I actually found a recipe that I was going to try to cook this weekend, but I got lazy. But I will cook the recipe. It was basically a sweet potato brownie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're going to share that with me.
Yes.
And we're going to come back for our next episode, our next segment. And thanks for tuning in, guys. We will be back.
Yes. Hi, this is Upendo from the Up and Down Show. If you're listening to my voice, guess what? This could be you. Well, not you, but your business, your product, your service. We would love to share with our audience all that you have to offer. So here's your opportunity to sponsor the Up and Down Show. Please contact us at the Up and Down Show, all one word, at gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back to the Up and Down Show. And when we took off the last segment, we were talking about my
plant-based
dieting. And I just wanted to reference something that really helped me understand my addiction, I will say, to meat. Okay. And it is a Netflix show that my friend Fred Rosario out there. Thank you, buddy, for turning me on to that. A couple other people have also
not watch.
Eva, you also recommended it, but Fred was the first one to have me watch it. And it's not something that will sort of address the moral issues with it. It is actually the physical and scientific sort of connection that we have to plant-based food and how we have been conditioned to believe that our bodies need protein. Mm-hmm. And it's all of these high. So the show is called The Game Changer.
I have seen that. That's part of the top 10 on Netflix as far as shows that's being seen.
Have you watched it?
I haven't.
It is wonderful. It's actually, most of the people interviewed are high in sports enthusiasts who have gone into a plant-based living and actually have thrived in that, where they've grown up, even like Sylvester Stallone, the former governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger is also in there, who he's changed. He grew up eating lots of eggs and meat and all. So The Game Changer, a great show. I recommend it. Thank you, Fred, for turning me on to that. And I think that you should watch it too. It's just interesting. It's very interesting.
So it's not like one of those shows that talks about the meat industry and makes you like vomit after you I'm never going to eat meat again.
No, you're not looking at the butchering of animals. You're not looking at the chicken condition. It's nothing about that.
Okay, maybe I will watch it.
It's really interesting.
I thought it was one of those shows where it makes you think, like, seriously, I don't want to watch that show.
No, and I won't. Well, one other thing I'll share with it is they talk about how we, our bodies, and if you actually look at how our bodies operate, we don't have the bodies of carnivores. Our teeth are not the teeth of carnivore, and even.
Are you sure? Because I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat. Are you sure?
And they say how what is it? It's vitamin D, I believe it is. Forgive me, or it might be vitamin C. It's vitamin D or C. I can't remember. But how our body does not create that naturally, and the only way we can get it is by plants. It's something that only plants have. You don't get it from meat, and so there's lots of scientific reasons that we have been. They lied to, basically. We've been lied to by the meat industry and by scientists to get us to consume beef and other foods.
Pork and bacon. Like seriously, I possibly, and I've said this years ago, not just now, I could actually, there's two things that I will never give up. I can give up everything else, but there's two things I will not give up: popcorn and bacon. You've heard me say that before.
And can I tell you guys, as I eat my plant-based diet, as I've moved into this world in the last 24 hours, I have had both popcorn and bacon.
I can't.
I had the best popcorn last night. Joseph, I don't know how you made that popcorn when we were watching RuPaul's Drag Race. All Stars is on right now. We were watching that. And Joseph, you made the best popcorn with some sort of cheddar substitute thing. Delicious. And then I walked in the house today, and Upendo was not in the house when I walked in, and she had made a fresh batch of bacon. Yes. And I literally didn't even put my bag down. I walked over and because Saturdays, this is a Saturday today, is my meat day. And so, and
he's like, bacon, this is good. Yes.
And then Upenda has the nerve to tell me, oh, that's not the good bacon. No, that's not the healthy bacon. Let me show you the healthy bacon that's good for you. And so she goes to her freezer and she brings out this slab of bacon. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we have a vegan bacon. Like, this is it's bacon with no antibiotics. It's bacon.
No, but it's good. I had it last week, and it says like no antibiotics. It's the
grass fed. It's grass fed pigs.
Yeah.
She's like, this is the healthiest bacon you'll ever have. I was like, the Game Changer. You need to watch the Game Changer.
I told him that because I had it last week, and I was like, I bought it because I was like, okay, let me see what this tastes like, because this is on the healthy side of bacon. And I was pleasantly surprised. It has no nitrates or the filtrates or whatever that goes in the bacon. And it was so good. So I thought I was giving him some insight. This is good bacon. He was like, it's not, you put it's not plant-based.
So I actually have a recipe for mushroom bacon.
Did you make that?
I did. Oh, they're delicious. You cut the portobello mushrooms. You do a little bit of brown sugar and cayenne pepper to give it a little kind of bite, and then you cook the heck out of it in the oven, and it comes out really crispy, and it's delicious.
So I remember you made that, and you talked about it being delicious, and then I saw on Instagram this woman who used sweet potatoes. She shaved sweet potatoes like bacon, and she did everything that you just said, and she just made it seem like it was amazing. And I was like, wow. And it was her version of bacon. She says, I've been plant-based for a while, and the one thing I miss is bacon. That's why I say I'm not giving up bacon and I'm not giving up popcorn.
And I'm not turning into some sort of hippie, although there's nothing wrong with hippies. I probably would have been a hippie if I was born in the 60s.
I definitely would have been a hippie.
But I'm not turning into some sort of fanatical plant-based advocate. But I will tell you, I'm having fun.
Good.
So
you look good.
Thank you. You know what? I am going to continue to look even better.
Very good.
And more importantly, feel better.
And I'm going to support you in that. Like today, I knew this was his cheat day, and so that's why I had the bacon. I intentionally had the bacon.
Good. It was so good.
And I had to
even
remind
with the
him,
nitrates.
Yeah, that bacon was not the good bacon. Let me just tell you, that was because I had bacon already in my freezer I needed to cook.
She gave you the bad bacon.
I gave you the bad bacon. But I support you in your journey to be plant-based. And again, I saw that recipe for the sweet potato brownies. And I was like, I'm going to make that for Daniel. But
I can't wait.
I got lazy. Like I didn't make really anything this week. I bought a lot of pre-made food because that's what I do.
That's what you do. Well, talking about the Game Changer, I guess this is going to be a Netflix episode because there were two other shows that you and I both have watched.
One is Netflix. The other actually is a movie that just came out that is free.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I don't think it's available on. So thank you. You're right.
It's free this week.
It is. Is that why I was able to see it? So what are we talking about? I'm sorry. This is literally us every day. Sit on a creative show, our creative meeting for these shows. And poor Greg is sitting there. He's like, I just want to know what time we're going to meet. And you and I are like, we have entire episodes on. But there are two shows that we've watched in the last week or two that we had a reaction to. Very different. One is called Filthy Rich. It's the Filthy Rich, the Jeffrey Epstein story.
Yes.
That is on Netflix.
That's on Netflix.
And it is about Jeffrey Epstein, who lived here in Palm Beach County and was a
billionaire financier who basically made money and lived a lifestyle that everybody wishes and dreams of, and very connected in the world. Very connected. Whether it's political, whether it's entertainment, he was very connected by way of him being at the upper echelon of being uber rich. Absolutely.
And so this documentary sort of talks about some of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, who famously was tried for, or at least accused of, I can't say tried because of his ending of the story, which I think this is news, so I don't think we're ruining. We're not doing any spoilers here. So he basically died in jail before he could be tried for trafficking and abusing young ladies, and not one or two, but hundreds of young ladies, and throughout the world. It wasn't even here in Palm Beach County only. It was in New York. It was everywhere. It was everywhere that he had a place, and he had a private island in the Caribbean as well.
But just to kind of add more to what Daniel is saying, but he actually preyed on preteen girls. And it started back, well, the first known that's part of this particular documentary was back in 2008. And not saying that it probably goes further back, but if you watch this Netflix documentary about him, it really makes you just kind of pause and think, wow, how did someone get away with this for so long?
And it was known, it was basically out in the open, and he was arrested at one time, and then he was released, and he was acquitted of the initial charges that he had towards him, and then new charges came, and he was rearrested. But we're not going to get into it. So this is not about a story about Jeffrey Epstein. It really was a story about his story and the way the justice system impacted him. And then on the heels of that, Upendo recommended that I watch Just Mercy because it was, I didn't realize, free. No, that's why, because she knows I'm a cheap son of a gun.
It was free. So it's been free for a week based on, I think, media wanting to put out there just things to highlight the injustices that happens in our world.
Isn't that sweet that she thinks it's just about the media? It's also about these channels trying to get viewers to go to their channels for free, and then have your subscription when you realize you don't still have access. But yes, and during this time where we are thinking about racial justice in the country, it absolutely addressed that. So I'm sure that was an incentive for them to utilize that.
I'm going to go with my theory on it because I see the cup half full and not half empty.
Oh, honey, my cup is always half full.
Yes.
So, but Just Mercy, which, by the way, I watched the entire episode, or not episode, but movie of Just Mercy with
Jamie Foxx and oh my gosh, Michael.
I was gonna say Michael Crawford. I don't know.
I can't think of his name.
Michael Crawford.
Yes.
Do you know who those people are? Michael Bell is from.
Now I'm gonna look him up.
Oh. The previous episode, I asked her to look something up, and she had no ability to. Now, all of a sudden, she has the ability to. So, but yes, with this Michael gentleman. But I had no idea that it was the Bryan Stevenson story. So I watched this entire movie.
Can you go back just for a second for our watchers and listeners? Who is Bryan Stevenson?
Bryan, you tell us who Bryan Stevenson is.
Really?
Well, you can watch the movie Just Mercy and you can learn. Or you can read the book Just Mercy. Bryan Stevenson.
Michael B. Jordan plays him. But just to kind of give a backdrop, Bryan Stevenson is this amazing lawyer that since he graduated from Harvard many years ago, he decided that he was going to fight for those who are marginalized that have been given a raw deal with regards to their criminal justice, given a raw deal when it comes to the criminal justice system. Like he seeks out cases that speaks to injustices as it relates to the system. Right.
And in the movie, and I guess in his life, he cut his teeth after graduating from Harvard, working in the state of Alabama.
And he picked that of all places.
Which is very interesting. He had done an internship there, and he had saw a lot of injustices and met a lot of individuals on death row who reminded him of himself. He saw himself in them and realized, I need to go back to this community and I need to fight for them. And it's a powerful story. And it's also a story that puts a light on how the justice system impacts people of color, and how even not even talking about police brutality and other things we've talked about. It's like once you get into the system, there was something that we looked at recently where you had a young white man, a 19-year-old white boy, and a 21-year-old black boy
male
with the exact same charges, the same history, everything about them was the same. And the white boy got a 2-year sentence in the county jail.
Yes.
And the black boy
got 26 years.
26 years. The exact same charges.
With the same background, like literally the same background with regards to previous experiences with the justice system. The same. It was highlighted to say, this is not right. This speaks to the injustices for African American males in the justice system, because it's the same charge, same background, but this individual who's white get two years, and the African American young man 26 years.
It just breaks your heart when you hear stories like this. So we're coming up on a break.
Yes,
we're gonna come back and we're gonna finish up by talking about this justice system, talking about the difference between the experience that Bryan Stevenson and the people he fought for had in the justice system compared to Jeffery Epstein, which, to be fair, is just. It turns your stomach to think about the way this man treated young victims, young women throughout this world. So we'll be back and we'll talk about that. Thanks for watching The Up and Down. Hey guys, this is Daniel from the Up and Down Show with Daniel and Upendo. And if you are listening to this, that means you like us. You really like us. And because you really like us, we like you. In fact, we love you. And we would love to have you become part of the Up and Down family. Do you have a business, product, or service you'd like to advertise? Or how about a hot uncle you'd like to set either of us up with? If so, contact us at the upandDownShow@gmail.com. That's all one word, the upandDownShow@gmail.com. And let's talk. But don't take too long because these commercial spots are hot. They're flying off the shelves. Thanks for listening to us at the Up and Down Show.
And we are back, Daniel.
We are back for one last segment.
Yes.
And we were talking about at the last segment the differences between the story of Jeffrey Epstein versus the experience and stories of the mainly black men that Bryan Stevenson works with still in his career, but that the movie Just Mercy focuses on. Yes,
and again, I think the title for Just Mercy is very appropriate because it speaks to the injustices that happens to African American males in the justice system, as we talked about in our last segment about a particular case. That's just one of many cases throughout the United States.
Yeah, and there was one of the characters in the movie. And again, for this one, I don't think we're offering up spoilers because it's all factual. If you read anything about Bryan Stevenson, you'll know the facts. But there was a gentleman that we got to love in the movie,
Walter McMillian.
Was that the name?
Yes, Walter McMillian, who was played by Jamie Foxx.
No, I was thinking about the other character. But Walter's character, right? Who they go through their story. But there's another gentleman who doesn't get out, and you learn that he got out after 35 years.
Yes,
he was finally. They finally discovered that he had been falsely accused of a crime, and he had always been speaking his truth. And so, there are so many men of color who are in the prison system unjustly.
Yeah. And it just, when the reason why we wanted to talk about this, because both Daniel and I both work in social work. And so we also work for this amazing organization that's all about social justice. And when we think about the communities in which we serve, oftentimes it goes back also to the justice system and the impact of those community in the communities that we serve. And when we think about, I think about my brother, I think about my nephews, thank God that they have not been impacted in a negative way by the justice system. But just think about the Walters in the world who, because someone is not doing their job, someone doesn't feel as though that they are of value.
Yeah.
And they falsify many of the things that happens enough where it just kind of like a what do you call the dominoes, the domino effect.
Yeah, the domino effect, absolutely. It's sort of the avalanche, right? So things, you do one thing and then the next thing happens. And the thing that was so powerful to me in the Bryan Stevenson story is, in this one community in particular,
yes,
it wasn't a mistake. Actually, lies were told, and I feel like this is a common theme. We actually keep trying to break away from justice conversations because we've spent a lot of our episodes talking about the criminal justice, but we keep coming back to it because it is just,
people are lying.
So people made up a story in order to just get a conviction. To get a murder case closed. They needed it closed. They wanted the community to feel safe, and so they framed someone. They actually blamed it on this gentleman without any evidence.
None.
And then when the evidence came out that it was wrong, they actually pushed the evidence aside because they didn't want to reopen the bag. And the interesting thing is, at the end of the movie, you find out that they finally were able to identify the gentleman who they believe did the murder back in the 70s. They actually have his name, and they chose never to press any charges. He happened to be white.
Yes. And I mean, you have to watch the movie to understand what we're talking about with regards to, it just not being right. And then if you have an opportunity, watch the Jeffery Epstein story. The reason why we wanted to bring this up, because Jeffery Epstein, as we alluded to earlier, is a man of privilege. He is a man of means, specifically, in the top 10, when you talk about billionaires in the world, just could buy and do anything he wanted. And when you hear about his case, you hear about the cops and investigators going after them. I mean, the one thing I will say about this case is that there were good men who knew he did wrong, who did everything in their power to bring this man to justice. But because he had money, he was able to evade justice.
Yeah, he didn't just have money; he also had connections.
Yeah,
and this is a gentleman who it's still in the news. Actually, as recently as this week, they're still trying to get Prince Andrew from the royal family in London to talk, because he is one of the people in and this is a documentary. This is not a movie. This is a documentary. It's a very well done documentary. I think 4 or 5 episodes, and they're still trying to get Andrew to be honest about what his experiences was, because they have footage of him with some of these underage girls, and he just says, I don't remember being there. There are people like Bill Clinton who are not implicated. Actually, the young lady who was interviewed says she never saw Bill do anything inappropriate, but he was connected. Our current president, I don't even like to say that word. I really need to stop. He just gives me.
He does. But our current president actually is very connected to Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, there is enough verbiage and quotes from our current president that speaks to their relationship. So it's not like,
and yet he denies their. He says, I barely knew him.
He barely knew him, but there's pictures and there's quotes about from our president that talks about that he was a fine guy, that he was a good guy. But again, going back to the bigger picture, when we talk about Jeffrey Epstein's case and the fact that his money, his connections allowed him to not come to justice the way that if you don't have money would have.
And the other thing that, really sort of hit my heart in a way, and, we joke about me being emotional, but as I even think about it right now, because I have a younger sister and I have young nieces right now, is how in order to get him acquitted initially, they turned the story around and they blamed the young ladies who were targeted and who were trafficked. That's a hard word to say. Who were trafficked. They called them prostitutes, and they really told disparaging stories about them. And for some of the young ladies, they had difficult family lives, but they purposely identified. They literally had other women going out to find the next victim.
That's the sad thing about this entire, he did not act alone. And for me, when I watch this documentary, okay, so he's doing it, but then there are women who aided him in his the way he dealt with young girls.
Yes.
That aided him. And then when the first time he gets off, which is sickening how he gets off, the first time he gets off, that he makes a deal.
You don't have to tell us. You just said it was sickening. That was enough. Here she goes. I was really proud of you. I was like, wow, she's not going to ruin it. I was like, wow, she's actually going to temper herself.
I tried. Thank you for holding me here. But anyway, long story short, with regards to what I was trying to say is that, there are women who aided him. And unfortunately, because he had money and means, no one was held accountable.
No one was held accountable. In fact, they were encouraging him to be acquitted and for him to sort of get off. And, it's interesting at the end, again, he died in jail in New York City. He was being held to go on trial, and they found him hanging, I guess. They say he was hanging.
They say he hung himself. He committed suicide. And I'm going to say this.
What you going to say, Upendo?
I'm going to say that it probably wasn't suicide because if you watch the documentary, this man was connected and he was smart.
Yeah. And actually it's not even in the news. The two guards that were standing watch, they didn't log
nothing.
They actually admitted they had fallen asleep. There's lots of inconsistencies with the night that he died. So yeah, something fishy happened there.
Yeah, I think something fishy happened. And I think the reason why the fishiness happened is because when I tell you that Jeffrey was smart, he knew that his connections in the end was going to pay off because he had videotapes. He had logs of people coming in and out of his estates and houses all over the world that and had tapes enough where at the end of the day, someone probably said, you know what, we got to get rid of him. Okay. Because it's too much. And of course our government went in, the feds went in, they got these tapes, but you have never heard anything else afterwards.
Yeah. And I think that we probably should stop talking now because all of a sudden I realize the government might be listening to us and I don't really care. He's dead. So I've seen the videos. I ain't going to talk. I don't really care. Those poor ladies, I hope that they get some money out of this. And I'm done with the Jeffrey Epstein story. So I'm sorry, government.
The only point we're trying to make is when you have people that Bryan Stevenson serves who don't get the credibility of someone with money. And that if you have money, you basically can go through this criminal justice system and your connections, the power that you won't be brought to justice. But when you don't have money, and just so you know, most of Bryan Stevenson clients, he provided his service for free. They could not afford him.
I did not know that. So he has a nonprofit.
Yes, he has a nonprofit. Yeah. His services are provided for free.
That's
so
awesome.
It goes to the point that if they had the money, maybe they could have got representation, but they didn't have the money. Whereas you have someone like Jeffrey Epstein who has the money and you see what happens.
Yes. All right. So I think that we've gotten the message across.
So please don't come after us. Don't kill us. I'm just this little old African-American girl in Lake Worth trying to live my life.
Oh, so now she's a girl.
I am.
A girl.
A young lady.
Well, so I think it's time to talk about our ups. You want to go first on what your up is
I'll
this
go
week?
with my up. So maybe at the beginning of this pandemic that we're in, I was given a recommendation of a great movie to watch, which is called Uncorked. And it's on Netflix and it's by Prentice, who also is the co-producer for Insecure. And it is such a good movie, especially if you are a wine lover. It speaks to the story of a young man who is grappling with, basically continuing his family's business or seeking out his own vision for his life to be a sommelier. I'm stopping.
And you're stopping there?
Yeah.
Wow. Whoa.
I saw you looking at me like, is she going to give the story away?
I was like, let's see how much story she tells.
You know what? So it's a wonderful story. And the cinematography is amazing on this story. And it's a really good story, and I want more. Like, I want it more.
I see. I didn't even know about this movie, and now I'm gonna watch it. That's a great one.
And I stopped. I'm
good.
And
you stopped. I actually don't know what's gonna happen next, and I can watch the movie. And be excited. Daniel. That was really, really good. I'm very proud of you.
So what is your up, Daniel?
My up this week, and I'm going to be honest that it's a book, and it's a book that I haven't finished reading. In fact, I just started reading, but the concept of the book is really sort of speaking to my soul right now, and I wanted to share it with you all. And you all probably, if you are well read, may already know about it, but it's called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Yes, I like to roll my R's now. Ruiz. Don Miguel Ruiz. It's The 4 Agreements. And essentially, the premise of the book are, we are sometimes our worst enemies.
Yes.
We have, and me in particular, I'll use I statements. I have lots of self-doubt that goes on in my head quite often. And there are self-limiting beliefs that we have that keep us from being successful, that keep us from achieving the things in life. And so what Don Miguel says is that there are 4 agreements that if you make in your life, you'll be good. Like, it literally will open up the possibility.
I'm going to have to read that book then.
And I am going to share with y'all because these are things to stand by, and it doesn't give away anything. So the 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word. So say what you mean and be impeccable with the words you choose. Don't just sort of speak by the fly, but be impeccable with the words that you choose. Don't take anything personally.
Say that again, Daniel.
Do not take anything personally. I think it is so easy for us to sort of, when we get upset with somebody or we have a moment that is not sort of thriving with us, where there's a time that we see you, buddy. We're getting the cue that it's going as I'm in the middle of talking, as I'm trying to wrap up here. We're going to finish. So we're almost done. Don't take anything personally. So just, when you think it's about you, it's not about you. Mm-hmm. It's usually about the other person.
Yes.
The third is don't make assumptions. And oh my God, what they say? Assuming makes an ass out of you and me.
Yes.
Absolutely. Don't make assumptions. And the fourth is always do your best. If you are in a situation and you feel like you're kind of coasting through life, it's probably not going to end up well. So just do your best.
Do your best.
Do your best. So I thought that this book, I needed to hear those.
When you finish reading that book, I want to read it. So
awesome.
Thank you for your up. We are now going to say goodbye.
We are going to say goodbye. We thank you guys for listening to us and tuning in to the Up and Down. Remember, you can catch us on YouTube. You can also get us on iTunes now, the Up and Down Show with Daniel and Upendo. And we thank you guys so much for listening to us.